What does a rabbi or a Jew look like to you? Do they look like old men with long beards and tall hats, or are they your neighbor next door who's always so kind? The world and Google misunderstand what a rabbi looks like. When you Google image search for rabbis, this is what comes up, even though more than 20% of rabbis are now women. This perception of rabbis and Jews is so ingrained in our world that the sign language sign for Jew is mimicking pulling on a long beard. Jews are not just what Google thinks. They are diverse, including the rabbis and spiritual leaders. Women make up more than half of the rabbis in rabbinical school today, and this is all thanks to one person. In 1972, Rabbi Sally Preisand became the first woman rabbi and changed Judaism. Women became rabbis by the dozens throughout the late 20th century in America. This helps the U.S. to be on the forefront of women's rights. This is the story of Rabbi Sally Preisand and the rise of women in the rabbinate. Women hadn't been rabbis for millennia, both because culturally women weren't expected to be religious leaders, and because Jewish law doesn't allow women to do certain acts on behalf of the community, including leading prayer. However, women have been active in Jewish religious life for a long time as teachers and transmitters of tradition. In 1922, the Rabbinical Association even said that women should be allowed to be ordained, yet it wasn't until 1935 when Regina Jonas was privately ordained by Rabbi Max Dianim in Berlin. After her private ordination, she spent 4 years as a rabbi at a Jewish hospital. Then she was deported to Nazi concentration camp of Theresienstadt. At Theresienstadt, she continued to use her knowledge as a rabbi until she was deported to Auschwitz, where she was killed the very day she arrived. Yet nobody followed her. After Regina Jonas's death, there was not a single other female rabbi ordained for nearly 3 decades, not until a young woman named Sally Preisand. The ordination of Sally Preisand changed Judaism by opening doors for more women in the rabbinate. Hundreds of women followed in her footsteps, helping Judaism to become the diverse religion it is today. Sally Preisand was born on June 27, 1946, in Cleveland, Ohio, as the daughter of Irving and Rose Preisand. Her family always belonged to a synagogue, but was not particularly observant. When Preisand was in 8th grade, her family changed synagogues. At her new synagogue was when she first saw a woman reading Torah.
First time I was there, a woman was reading from the Torah, and I thought it was horrible. I couldn't believe a woman was doing that. So I sort of had to go through a little bit of a change in the way that I looked at things.
As she got older, she got more and more observant and got involved with Jewish youth groups and summer camps. However, this question still hung over her. What did she want to be when she grew up?
I remember I always wanted to be a teacher, and what my favorite subject was is what I was going to teach. So one year I was going to be an English teacher, and one year a French teacher, and then I considered being a math teacher. And in the end, I decided to be a teacher of Judaism, which is what a rabbi really is.
She decided that she was going to be a teacher of Judaism at age 16, and she knew that it was her calling. As she grew up, she continued to be influenced by what was going on around her in the world. She was born in the baby boomer generation after World War II, so her high school and college years were right in the middle of second wave feminism. After World War II, when women had proven that they could work as well as men, women were fired in droves. This caused second wave feminism, and women demanding fair pay and a spot in the workplace. While it was different from first wave feminism, where women gained the right to vote and other major milestones, second wave feminism did change things. According to the New York Times, women accounted for 2/3 of the gains in total U.S. employment in the 1960s. Even still, young girls were rarely encouraged to work outside of the home. All of this was happening in Preisand's high school years, causing her to question the very fabric of the reality that she was raised in. Her parents, however, were very supportive of her.
My parents gave me what I consider to be one of the greatest gifts that a parent could give a child, and that is the courage to dare and to dream.
Once she decided that she wanted to be a rabbi, there was no turning back. When Preisand decided she wanted to be a rabbi, she had a lot of convincing to do to get into rabbinical school. This process took 5 years and a lot of correspondence. When Preisand tried to get into Hebrew Union College, they suggested another path. However, she did not give up. She had decided at age 16 this was her destiny, and one letter was not going to stop her. This perseverance is what allowed her to finish rabbinical school despite all the obstacles. And there were a lot of obstacles throughout rabbinical school and her career. This challenge of just getting into rabbinical school was the first.
So I always felt I had to be better and do better than my classmates, and so that my academic ability and my sincerity would not be challenged.
That was not the only hard part of rabbinical school. There was also a lot of sexism that she and others after her faced.
And Cincinnati was just extremely male and extremely conservative. Like, the professors would literally stand over the women and look down our shirts and stuff. It was just gross.
She also had a lot of pressure on her. As she neared the end of her semester, the amount of media attention she had grew dramatically. Many people were fascinated with the idea of women rabbis.
Yeah, there were a lot of places that, I was asked to go speak here and there while I was in rabbinic school and after, because it was sort of like a freak show. They wanted to see what one of these creatures looked like.
All of these things amounted to what Rabbi Preisand called the unbelievable and almost unbearable pressures of being the first woman rabbi. But even in the face of all of that, she soldiered on. Part of what allowed her to get through all of the struggles was her mentor, Rabbi Nelson Glick. As head of the rabbinical school, he was very supportive. Rabbi Preisand credits him with laying the foundation for the ordination of women as rabbis. Finally, on June 3rd, 1972, Sally Preisand became Rabbi Sally Preisand with her ordination. She became the first ever American female rabbi and the first publicly ordained female rabbi. After she was ordained, there were still many challenges that she faced, such as getting a job. Many people weren't ready for female rabbis. She ended up getting a job at the Stephen Wise Free Synagogue, where she worked as an assistant rabbi for 7 years, never being able to become the senior one. When Preisand left that job, it was very hard for her to find another one. Even though she had a lot of experience, people were not ready to have women rabbis as their leaders.
The interview was over and they forgot to hang up. So I listened in, and they said she sounded very, very good, creative, etc., etc. But that we could never have a female rabbi in our synagogue.
Finally, Rabbi Preisand got a job at Monmouth Reformed Temple in Teton Falls, New Jersey. While their congregation was small, they were the perfect congregation for her. She worked there for 25 years and has now retired. But she continues to give women the courage to dream of a world where they are religious leaders. Without her, Judaism would not be the same. Rabbi Preisand did not just open doors, she held the door open for more women in the rabbinate.
But the fact that she had to go through all of these things helped, generations of women rabbis get to where they are today.
Since Preisand, things have changed dramatically. Now over half of rabbinical students are women, and the rabbinate also welcomes rabbis of color and LGBTQ rabbis. As the number of female rabbis continues to exponentially grow, so does the number of bat mitzvahs and baby namings for girls. All of this because of Rabbi Preisand. Sally Preisand changed the rabbinate from all male to more than 20% female, and this number continues to rise.
We could not have a better model of a rabbi for the first woman rabbi in our movement.
Rabbi Sally Preisand changed Judaism with her ordination. She allowed kids to think of rabbis to be the diverse and complex leaders that they are. So Google, you're wrong. This is what a rabbi looks like.